My first experience with a Ouija board changed what I believe. I've always been fascinated by ghost stories. Ever since I was a kid, I'd spend hours watching paranormal documentaries, reading haunted experiences online, and listening to creepy stories before bed. But despite all that, I never actually believed any of it, especially Ouija boards. To me, they were nothing more than cardboard toys people used to scare each other. Every video I'd ever seen looked staged, every story sounded exaggerated, and I was convinced that people simply pushed the planchette without realizing it. I was 22 years old when that opinion changed. It started on a completely ordinary evening. My fiancée and I were sitting around her grandparents' house, bored, trying to think of something different to do. Half joking, I said, "What if we tried a Ouija board?" She immediately looked serious. "I've used one before," she told me. "It worked." I laughed. I honestly thought she was trying to scare me. We didn't own a real Ouija board, so we improvised. We printed one from the internet, caped it to a cardboard box, then cut out our own cardboard planchette. Looking back, the whole thing felt ridiculous. Before we left, my fiancé stopped me. "We're not doing it here." I asked why. She looked around her grandparents' house before quietly saying, "I don't want to bring anything back here." I remember smiling to myself. In my head, ghosts didn't exist. There was nothing to bring home. So we drove to an old monastery on the edge of town. The place dated back hundreds of years. Parts of it had been destroyed during the war. If anywhere was supposedly haunted, it was there. We sat inside the car with our homemade board balanced between us. For nearly half an hour, nothing happened. We asked questions, waited, asked again. The planchette never moved. Eventually, we laughed, packed everything away, and admitted defeat. I wasn't surprised. Honestly, I expected exactly that. As we drove home through the countryside, I noticed something on the side of the road. A tiny stone church. Beside it, a small graveyard, almost hidden by trees. I turned to my fiancée. "One last try?" She hesitated, then nodded. I parked beside the church. The entire area was silent. No passing cars, no houses nearby, only the sound of the wind moving through the trees. We placed the board between us again. For another 10 minutes, nothing. I was already reaching to pack everything away when the planchette moved. Slowly, barely enough to notice at first. I immediately looked at my fiancée. "Are you doing that?" She shook her head. "No." I laughed nervously. "Seriously, I'm not." I watched her fingers carefully. They barely touched the cardboard. Then the planchette moved, much farther this time. A cold feeling settled in my stomach. We asked a simple question. "Is anyone here who wants to speak with us?" Slowly, the planchette slid toward yes. Neither of us spoke. Finally, I asked, "What's your name?" The planchette drifted from letter to letter. None of them made any sense. We asked again. The same thing happened. Random letters, nothing readable. Then, My fiancé asked, "Are you a boy?" The answer came immediately, "Yes." I don't know why, but I asked the next question anyway. "How did you die?" The cardboard slowly scraped across the board. F-I-R-E. Fire. Neither of us moved. Neither of us spoke. The atmosphere inside the car suddenly felt different, heavier. We kept trying to ask his name. Every single attempt ended with meaningless slurs. Finally, I asked, "Do you not want us to know your name?" Yes. That was the last answer we ever received. The planchette never moved again. Eventually, I convinced myself there had to be a logical explanation. Maybe we had unconsciously moved it ourselves. Maybe expectation influenced us. I wasn't ready to believe anything supernatural. So I climbed out of the car. I walked through the graveyard looking for an 11-year-old's grave. My fiancée stayed behind. She thought searching through graves felt disrespectful. Instead, she searched online for burial records. A few minutes later, she called my name. There is one. An 11-year-old, buried there.
I remember telling myself, coincidence. It had to be. We got back into the car. As we started driving, something felt wrong. Not frightening, just strange. Like I wasn't fully present anymore. Like I was watching everything through a window. Then a thought crossed my mind, almost out of nowhere. I asked my fiancée, "Search his name with the town." She stared at her phone for several seconds. Then she gasped. She turned the screen toward me. An old newspaper article. According to the report, in 1947, 2 boys had been playing with matches near an abandoned car. One of them threw a lit match into the vehicle's petrol tank, not realizing there was still fuel inside. The explosion set the car ablaze. Both boys suffered severe burns. Neither survived. I sat there staring at the screen, unable to speak. The thing that bothered me most wasn't the article. It was the fact that neither of us had known that story. I was the one driving. I chose the road. I noticed the church. I suggested stopping. My fiancé didn't even know the graveyard existed. Yet somehow, the one word the board clearly spelled was fire. The drive home was almost completely silent. Neither of us knew what to say. Even now, years later, I still don't know what happened that night. Maybe it really was coincidence. Maybe psychology made us unknowingly move the planchette. Maybe our brains connected random events into a story after the fact. Or maybe, just maybe, we spoke to someone who had been waiting there for decades. I'm still not certain what I believe, but one thing changed forever that night. I no longer laugh when someone tells me they had an experience they can't explain. Because sometimes, the scariest thing isn't seeing a ghost. It's realizing that for just a few minutes, the impossible didn't seem impossible anymore.